What kind of sponsors?
Uh-oh. Speaking of sponsors,
Fine.
Brought to you by Ozark.
Brought to you by Powerade.
hold on, wait.
That
Brought to you by Skittles. Taste the rainbow and embrace
Really?
every color. Embrace every
Really,
color.
really, Ninja?
Embrace every color.
Yeah, I'm just tripping on why you don't have on a DP shirt, but you got on that melanin shirt.
So first of all, I had on my DP shirt earlier, right? And I was about to wear it. I didn't know what kind of audience this was because I was about to wear this one off the Kenny out of the Kenny P collection.
oh shit now.
Yeah, because I got me a couple of them too. I went on. Listen, first of all, let me tell you about this dude's website. It is totally user friendly. It's very convenient, and then you get your stuff in like a week or less. Everything within a week or less, and it keeps up on that shop app. You download that shop app, and it gives you those alerts. It's very convenient. It even takes Apple Pay. I didn't even have my wallet near me. I was just sitting there. Boom, 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 boom.
Oh, you want to? What's this website? How you get to it? What is this? Melanin.com or something?
I was talking about your website, Divine Personalities.
He know that. He know. Stop playing. You know.
No, let me tell you.
Yeah, he shut me up, didn't he?
Let me tell you what's so funny. I've seen that shirt like 7 million times. And every time I see it, I say, I need to order that damn shirt. I keep saying it. And so when he was talking, I was hoping to try to make sure, my technology trash. I was trying to make sure everything's good. And when he started saying you can take Apple Pay, I was like, okay, hell yeah. And I was like, shout him out because all I see is a commercial. I mean, a promo ad. But okay, you talking about my
Yeah, we gonna pub you, man. That brought to you by Divine Personalities.
Hey.
There you go.
Divine Personalities online. So it's called.
Check out the KP collection, by the way.
KP collection.
So, I got a couple of KP collection ones too. So
y'all ready?
I can't wait to rock that tank top. Right?
Yeah.
Sir.
If you don't sit down, I mean. Okay.
Good.
Are y'all ready?
We ready. It's saying we live though. We're not live right now.
We're live, but I try to wait a little bit, get everybody comfortable, and then I'm trying to collect the audio for iTunes and all that stuff too. So
do you have that 7-second delay just in case there's some words that you don't want?
Really? Let me tell you something. Y'all teaching me some stuff today. Okay.
Let me go ahead and give y'all a disclaimer now then.
What's the disclaimer?
We are live.
Here we go. Good. Let me get my voice together. Ready? Hello out there, podcast listeners. This is Corey with Survivin the Podcast, Season 2. Season 2 is all about surviving Corona, surviving COVID. So it's an interesting concept, but we're rolling with it, and we've been going strong for the past couple of weeks. And we're doing a new concept, audio video. So this is episode 3 that's done like that, and we've been doing pretty good. But what I want to do is, before I get started, I want to let my guests introduce themselves to my right or left, whatever the camera shows. To my right, to my left.
What's up, everybody? My name is Matthew Winters. I'm a financial advisor and planner. I live here in the Dallas area. Been here for 10 years. Married with 2 kids.
Welcome.
To my left is
Kenny P. That's what everybody know me by. Let's see. I've been here for 15 years. I've been in banking regulation for over 15 years, and happy to be here with my dear frat brothers.
All right. Oh, we're frat brothers?
Oh.
No, just joking. Yeah, we're frat today. It's all
My bad.
You're fine, man. Well, welcome to this episode. This episode is important because I feel like, we all make jokes about COVID, Corona, catching it, what it look like, what the people look like. They can't sit down. We all talking our shit. I know I talk it a lot. especially when I know people that don't know how to sit down. But I wanted to talk with survivors. Now, I know quite a few survivors, but this one kind of hit home because I know Kenny P. I know Matt. I trust him. Matt used to work out with me. He was part of our jump rope club, but I had to ban him from the house because he got COVID. Kenny P takes care of everything. Like, he's solid, don't do anything, and then they call COVID. And so I just felt like this was just a fitting episode for these two brothers because these are people that I interact with because, like I said, I'm very cautious about who I'm around because I am a cancer survivor. And so I don't know what COVID will do for me if I were to ever get it. So I give people a third degree when I am around them to make sure that I don't get it. So before we get into the episode and kind of drop it down, I start every episode with a survival tip. And we're going to break this down for you. The survival tip for this episode, which I thought was pretty cool, is this is not the time to get caught up in short-term pleasures. This is the time to sit down, focus, and double down on your planning and set up for the rest of your life. Rebuild your foundation instead of resting upon your current one. Or just do a reset to be sure it is a stable foundation. What y'all think about that?
Me personally, I love it. And I will attribute it to what I've been going through for the last month, having the coronavirus. There's a saying that out of all bad things, like, something good must come, right? So I just told myself that coming out of this, or once I do get out of it, I'm not going to be the same Matt that I was going into. Okay. So it's allowed me to reset my mind and set my sights on something greater for myself, understanding what my passions are, understand what really motivates me and moves me for a better life after COVID.
Cool.
Yeah, I would agree. I think for me, Corona had me sitting down, and I think I lost focus a little bit as far as being lazy, using the COVID and everything being closed down as an excuse. And I think it helped me. The best thing I think helped me mentally get myself together and push forward through the rest of the year. And it took me sitting down, self-reflecting and everything else to help me realize that I hate it happened, but it happened. So I think I'm back focused, man.
That's good. And the reason why I select this survival tip is that you hear a lot of people saying, I'ma do me, regardless of quarantine, regardless of mask order. I'ma do me. I'ma do what I need to do. And we get so clouded with these short-term pleasures, like, I gotta this, I gotta that, or I gotta eat out, I gotta get on that patio, I have to travel, I have to go do this, and I'm safe with it. And what's so honest, I'm gonna say what's so not funny but entertaining is that they're being honest. I mean, they're being truthful. People just can't sit down, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But I think is what's important that people need to understand is that this is short term. This is not forever, but it's short term. And if you can't sit down just in short term, bruh, what's the problem? And so one of my friends told me, and I thought it was so on point when she said, she said, at the end of the day, quarantine is hard, but COVID is worse. And what that means is, like, yeah, being in this place, being in this space is very hard because some people just can't sit down. Some people are, they kind of become a prisoner of their own thoughts. They don't know how to tear that apart and really get into who they are. They can't be alone. I've watched people from afar. Some people just can't be alone. They have to be around people. And I get all that. Mm-hmm. But I think sometimes people also think they're superpowered. Like, oh, if I get COVID, I just get it. And like Matt was just saying today, one of his closest friends had it, been battling for 3 weeks, and then he died. So everybody doesn't come out on the other side, no matter what your health options are, what you think your immune system can maintain. I think people just need to realize that at the end of the day, like, sit the fuck down. Like, it's okay. But that was my take on it. And people always say, I got a lot of life to live. There's a lot that you can do to plan to live forever. There's some things that's going to happen, some things that are coming out. You just need to be still, and I think you'll be better for it. But that's not to say that you're on punishment. That's not to say that you're stupid or silly or ridiculous for traveling. That's not to say anything that you can't keep, can't no grass growing to your feet, as the old folks say. It's just that you really, really need to proceed with caution, because every chance you get or every chance you take, you're risking your life and you're risking the life of others, because you may be asymptomatic. And like I said, I have a friend, they were planning this trip where they couldn't get their money back. So one of the requirements that they mandated was every family get tested for COVID, and everybody tested negative, but one family tested positive, don't have a symptom, all asymptomatic, the mother and the son. And guess what? They would have went out there and traveled. Possibly somebody would have gotten COVID in the other two families. So you have to be careful what you try to do and what you try not to do. And just sit down. You think you have it together, but you can really take this time to kind of pay off debt, reestablish who you are, pick up whatever. But that's a whole nother subject. We about that. But at the end of the day, I think that this is fitting, because we don't know how to kind of be still. So moving through, we're gonna talk about this. Hey Michelle, yeah. What's so funny to me is that what's your survival mode? I know you guys have survived COVID, but during this quarantine, what has been your survival mode? Have you discovered about yourself that get you through this quarantine that you did not know about yourself prior to?
So I'll start by saying that I don't necessarily go into survivor mode unless I have to. Mm-hmm. So just to elaborate on that for a second, when my back is against the wall, then that's when I'm gonna go into survival mode. That's when I become laser focused, and I plan out everything and I strategize, and then I go and I attack. Yeah. So I think what's allowed me to keep my necessary, I don't know if this would be a good way of saying it, but keep my sanity while in quarantine is being focused on what's ahead in life after COVID, what I want to do with what I have planned. So.
Well, for me, I mean, I don't know. I think I'm mentally tough for the most part, but it was some dark days, a couple days having that COVID, man, and you really realize how tough you are when your back is against the wall, and to see the fact that both Matt and I came out of this, yeah, we survivors and we have a lot to say. I mean, I think, we'll probably touch on this later on. There's so many different variations on how people feel. Mm-hmm. So people that's asymptomatic is like, some people, I won't say all, some people is like, man, I'm fine. This stuff is fake, yada, yada, yada. But they don't know that they giving it to somebody like me who's asthmatic, man. And it took me out completely for the whole month of July. You know what I'm saying? So it's a difficult thing because it affects everybody differently. And we just have to really respect the fact that it's so much unknown. I don't give a shit about none of them numbers. You know what I'm saying? Because until it affects somebody in your life or so somebody like that's when people actually care. And you can actually prevent that stuff by doing all the preventative measures right now. So we have to be smart. You don't have to live in fear, but you can definitely be cautious of what's going on.
That leads me to something that I told somebody else earlier today about coronavirus. I said the coronavirus is like death. It's there, it happens, it's all around us, but it's not real until it's real, right? So like you talked about where it touches somebody close to you or you end up coming down with it. People sit out here and think it's a joke. They joke about it. They say, oh, I don't want to wear a mask. I have rights. It's not about your rights. Don't politicize this. Don't even make it about religion. This is science, right? This is an airborne virus. So it's important that everybody does their due diligence, not just to protect themselves, whether you feel like you got it or you can survive it regardless, protect everybody else.
Yeah.
And this is about having love and respect for your fellow man out here and their kids and their family and everybody else that they in contact with.
I agree.
Yeah. And let's not be distracted by saying, you know, like the government created it and shit. Like I don't give a fuck. Like I really don't. I know that I had the shit and
It was
you know what
real.
I'm saying, it affected me. You know what I'm saying? And I got kids, I got family. My pops was going through brain surgery at the time, so I didn't get to see him and check on him because of what I got caught with. Somebody gave it me. So, you know, it affects people and trickle down effects, you know, and everybody's symptom is different. There's some people that's gonna be fine. There's some people that's gonna be like me and Matt, but you still gotta respect it, you know. And I think that's what people sometimes lack because they put too much of the conspiracy theory in there. You know, I love a good conspiracy theory from time to time, but like that on top of just being selfish, on top of just politicizing it, like man, just don't look at it for yourself, but look at it for the elderly and look at it for the children and just people that's just around you, your family and stuff like that. Because being asymptomatic, you can pass that on to 2 or 3 different people that's old or young. And how you gonna feel after that?
I think people need to understand or get because some people may be visual, but understand that this coronavirus it does affect your respiratory system greatly. So if you take a water balloon and you put water in it, and that water serves as oxygen, and then you grab that water balloon in the middle and you squeeze that water balloon, that's how your lungs feel when you have this stuff and you're trying to breathe when you have this virus. I mean, there were days where I felt like a fish out of water. It's real, man. It's not a joke. And again, like you guys have been saying, we got to do our due diligence to not only protect ourselves but to protect others.
Sorry, Corey. We probably talked about this. Go ahead, man. We off topic a little bit. Let's
Hey,
go
it's
on.
okay. It's okay. You know, I had a survival mode, but my survival mode wasn't nothing. It was just saying that I realized that my talents only get me so far. So that was my survival mode.
Well, hold on, brother. Elaborate on that. Because you very talented, brother.
Because you got a lot of talents. You can sing, you know, you're an artist.
Man, really? We not gonna do this.
I heard you say.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay. Hey.
Corey is the godfather. He know if you need somebody, Corey knows somebody.
Let's end it right here. So what I was saying was I just feel like what I discovered in this COVID times is that, you know, your talents only get you so far. You know, some people are like, oh, you this, you that, you that. You know, but at the same time, life hits you just the same, regardless of how talented you are. You know, you get no's, you get failures, you get all that, just like somebody who don't know who they really are. So at the same time, that's all that was one of my discovery moments is that I really can do a lot of things on my own, but I always try to pour into other people and let them elevate. And really, I need to just say, I really can do. I need to really show, you know, what I can do, and I choose not to. But that's for a whole nother topic for a whole nother time. And we're gonna keep it moving. So cut it out, Rico. I see you. Let's go into the education moment. This is very important for me because going with this visual we've been having, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of speakers, there's a lot of talkers, and there's not a lot of doers in this world. I've realized that a lot. You know, in COVID, what you'll learn to do, you'll learn to move silently so you can watch people as they make a fool of themselves. But one of the biggest things that we really don't have a disdain for is that we have no empathy. And when I say no empathy, we just expect everybody to think the way we think, know what we should know, just be able to just say it. And so when you hear people say, rock the vote, rock the vote, rock the vote, what does that mean when you rock the vote? How do you teach somebody how to rock the vote? There's a lot of misnomers and there's a lot of things that plague the African-American community. And I'm not necessarily going to say the African-American community. It plagues voters. There's a lot of people who choose not to vote because they're not political. They don't get involved. And so therefore we lack that component of teaching people. And one of the biggest things, so like I say, I'm not going to overdo my voting because everything I stick on, I want to stick it and I want people to hear it. And so let me go to share my screen with the people. We're going to talk about this because, as you notice, I said that I was going to allow, I was going to create this is my website for the podcast, people, in case you've never been on there. I don't expect you to go on there, but it's a landing page, survivingthepodcast.com, without the G. It's a ghetto surviving, not surviving, but surviving. But if you look on this right here, resources from the show, I added this component because there's going to be some things that I teach about, and it'll be right here. You can always see it when you go here. And so you see big as there, it says voter education. And so remember, I was telling you all those things I talk about in the episodes, they're going to go right here. But this is one I was talking about, elected officials. This is just for Dallas, but they're for every county, they're for every city, they're for every state. And this is what I was talking about the first time, where you'll know when it's time for them to be reelected. So as you can see, the governor, Greg Abbott, he's going to be reelected in 2022, so on and so forth. And it even goes as far as your school district. It goes to your city elected officials. You can tell from Carrollton to Cedar Hill to Copper Hill. This is very important. A lot of people don't really know this exists, but I have that link up so you never have to worry or think. You can see who's up for re-election. As you see, it can become a bit confusing because people are elected at different times, different years, etc. But I wanted to show you this so you can see real time what I talk about when I'm saying this and that. Like, people don't know how to vote, change your address, change your name. This stuff is it's so many different links to confuse you as a voter that sometimes it's meant for you to walk away. So I want people to understand, if you're going to be out here educating people and you're going to be out here saying rock the vote, you're going to have to be patient enough to help people rock their vote. And so today's post and today's entry is about felonies, criminals, and voting. And I'm only speaking to Texas because I am from Texas, but every state has their own different set of guides and regulations. And some states are getting to the point where, because of what's going on with the White House, that they are actually mitigating their voter registration and their voter laws against their criminals and federal felonies and etc. So I'm just going to focus on Texas. But there's a website here called guides.sll.texas.gov. And again, like I said, the link is going to be on the website. But if you can see, Texas laws on voting with a felony conviction. And if you look on here, it shows you, the Constitution shows you who is not allowed to vote. And this line reads about a person is convicted of any felony subject to such exceptions. Well, in Texas, there are exceptions. And the exceptions are, if you look in this. Hello? Who's that?
I don't know. Let's go.
I thought I heard somebody says, if you look and see, it shows you in this location who's been pardoned or otherwise released from assault and disability to vote. It talks about the purpose and who can and cannot vote. When it comes to your felony, it tells you have to be removed from it, which is a qualified voter. That means if you have pending felony charges, you can still vote. And so to even get even a breakdown into it, let me go a little further with it. Final felony convictions in Texas. A conviction on appeal is not considered a final felony conviction, so you can still vote. A deferred adjudication, that's not considered a felony conviction, so you can still register and vote. Mere prosecution, indictment, or other criminal procedures leading up to, but not yet resulting, you can still vote. This is important for me because I do have family members who have had run-ins with the law, and sometimes, it can become discouraging when you say, hey, man, it's time to vote. Well, I can't vote. I got a felony. Or when you're out there registering voters, people say in a minute, man, I had a criminal past. Just know, these are some of the things we need to walk our people through. Now, Texas is one of the only few states that still has a poll tax, implicit LFO obligation. That means that they are requiring you to be paid up with all of your liens, and if you have probation fees, etc. They're requiring that. Some states are turning that over as late as in 2019, and we would hope that this happened for us, but Texas just no. But this is put in place from way back when to prevent African Americans, I believe, and I'm speaking for myself, to not vote. And so this is important for me because I think that you must know that to be fully considered discharged in Texas, all of your fees must be paid. So when we're going out there and we're talking to African Americans, we're talking to our communities and we're telling people, hey, let's vote, let's vote, let's vote. And they come telling you, hey, I think I got a criminal past. Don't ignore them. Dive deeper if you're going to register voters and you're going to educate voters. Ask them, what is it? What was the litigation on them? What was the judgment? And you can go from there because you may have walked away from somebody who want to vote and who can't. And it's a lot of different law. Like I said, it gets even more deeper with this, what I just showed you. But I want to let people know when you're educating voters, a lot of people run from voting because when they say my vote doesn't count, this is one of the reasons why, because they've had an issue with the legal system in the past, and this should not deter anybody from voting. So again, I'm going to provide these links on my website, and it's going to be under resources from the show. And again, like I said, I'm only here to educate. I'm only here to influence, but I'm not here to invade. So you can take what I say as a grain of salt, but I just think it's very important that we continue to push and narrative and get people out there to vote because it's very important. This election is important, especially with the last interview that Trump did on television. I think it's on HBO. That's probably the most sums up his whole 4 years of stupidity. And for anybody to look at that interview and still think that he's competent, I should be the president of the United States because the way he pointed at those graphs to show that America is winning because we were at the lowest because we tested more people, it's just kind of flabbergasted me. It just felt like I was at a science fair with somebody who did a volcano. We all know how to make that volcano. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not trying to make light of it, but I just think it's important because I hear a lot of people, I hear rock the vote. The vote is important. It's really important. And some people we have neglected to carry to the polls. There are ways around that too. And so I'll talk about that next week about creating ways to get people to the polls. But let's get back to anything y'all want to add about it? I'm sorry.
Well, I'll just say, you just proved me and Matt's point that you were very talented. I mean, look what you're doing. Look at the website. Look at all that, man. It's just amazing. But secondly, I think as far as voting goes, it's a lot of misinformation on both sides, just to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. And we have to do whatever your choice is, but you need to make sure that your decision is based on facts and not false opinions. And there's a lot of narratives being pushed around on every single prism. So if we can, like you said, if you can just show them the facts on your page, and they can make the decision, whatever they want to make from getting educated properly.
Yeah. Biggest statement I have for me is I tell people all the time, and you can take this how you want. I'm speaking for Corey Wilson, but an African American that's a Republican does not need to be educated on how to vote. Because more than likely, if you're a Republican African American, you know damn well what you're voting for and you feel a certain way. So I don't need to come and tell you about your candidate. You know everything about them. Most people who are disenfranchised from voting, they are more democratic approach. And sometimes they are the ones that you have to educate. So I tell people that all the time. I'm not here to influence your vote or tell you who you need to vote for. You know who you need to vote for. And money shouldn't influence it. It should be your own life, what your goals are. And I'm going to leave it at that. What you got, Matt? You got anything?
I just want to say that having information like this available to you at your fingertips, I mean, that's huge, right? Because I can tell you right now that I didn't even know that existed. I know plenty of people who have felonies, right? And like the saying goes, a voteless people is a hopeless people. But when you have education like this behind you, it gives people hope. It helps them understand that, hey, you know what? Yeah, I might have got a felony 5 years ago. How long does that stay in play before it can get expunged from my record? Mm-hmm. Let me do my research. Let me find that out so that I can make my vote and my voice be heard.
Right.
That's huge that you put that out there, man. And I appreciate that. And I encourage everybody who's listening, even those who aren't, who might see this later, and utilize something like that and take that back to your family and your friends and educate them, because we're not going to get this type of education in the classroom.
Mm-mm. No,
we're not going to get this type of education in the classroom.
Sit back, calm down, brother.
So it's important that that we utilize what we're feeding each other, as long as it's the right thing, and utilize it to our advantage. So.
I agree. And one last thing about voting, and I'm going to get off of it. The poll tax is very important. Know your poll tax. Know, and we do elevate these celebrities and we elevate these athletes. And what you see, like what LeBron James is doing now in Florida, he's actually going out and he's paying taxes and he's paying those fees and he's helping voters get reestablished and allowed to vote. And so they don't get enough credit. I hear a lot of people discrediting these rich people and celebrities. You're not going to know everything they do. And you don't need to know everything they do.
Yeah.
And just because you don't know does not make you make them like they sitting over here and they're not really helping. Nobody knows everything you do, every crime you commit, every shady thing you do. So quit trying to catch and count these celebrities' coins. They're doing a lot. They're doing more than you're doing because your $15 can help somebody. And I think people are so caught up on it. We're expecting these people, we put them in these silos, but you just check and watch what's going on out there. There's a lot of people out there really, really, really getting behind voting and getting behind the effort of voting. What used to like the Freedom Riders. Yeah, we're not on a bus, we're not on a Greyhound, but we're actually out there riding. And there's some people who are riding out there right now to make sure that people have their rights to vote and get them reinstated and their voice be heard, because America is the land of the free, and we're out here saving every other country. But for us, everything's up for debate.
Hold on, Corey. Let me say one thing before we get off this.
Yes.
Just because you vote don't mean you don't have to put action. Action and voting comes together. Like, don't sit there, don't vote. Don't give me no excuse because you voting because your ancestors did it, or you voting so you can complain. Put action with your vote, so.
Amen. Okay, let's get to it. So, again, the whole premise of this episode, I know we got on our voting rant, and we're all alpha, so alpha male, we are going to be. We're going to talk about it because that's what we are. We vote, and okay. So let's talk about the discovery. I know y'all very well, and I talk to y'all frequently. And we talked about y'all quarantine processes, what y'all were doing in the process of quarantine. And I ain't going out. I'm not touching nobody. I ain't nobody saying. I got y'all both married with young kids. So it was very important. So let's talk about the discovery, like days ahead of your remembrance. What happened? Like, let's trace those days back.
I mean, so in my situation, ever since quarantine was instated back towards the end of March, early April, I made sure that I just function with a select group of people. And those have been the same people that I've maintained my physical presence with throughout the entire quarantine. Once I came down with symptoms and, you want to do your 48-hour contact tracing, it got narrowed down to a select group of people. Same people that have always been hanging out with, but you really don't know where you got it from, who you got it from, because you could have got it at the grocery store touching a cart. You could have got it anywhere, obviously. So I'm not even going to sit here and place the blame on anybody as saying, I got it from you or him or them. No, but that's what goes through your mind at first.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're like, you just gave me this. I'm mad. I'm upset. Now I got to go through this, stuff. And you get mad at people. You start doing the blame game, pointing fingers. No, I got it from you. No, I got it from you. I got it from, so you really don't know who you can get it from.
Saying, hey, I got it. And I know
exactly.
I may have contacted you.
And the worst thing you can do, honestly, is sit there and be like, man, do I need to call this person or do I need to send them a text message? Fuck, I'm gonna send them a text message. I don't want to, you don't want to deal with it, but you have to, right? So I went through that. So I can tell you that I came down with symptoms on a Sunday, and then on Monday I lost my sense of smell. When I lost my sense of smell, I beeline to the ER, got the test, They said it was going to take 48 to 72 hours. I said, well, that's not quick enough for me. Luckily, shout out to Resilient Health. I know somebody who owns that company, who's a part owner of that company. So they enabled me to go there, get a test, and give me the results later that day. And sure enough, I was positive. So at that point, I had to wipe everything down in the house. Wife and kids weren't here.
So how'd you tell your wife?
Huh?
How'd you tell your wife and kids? How'd you let them know? How'd they go?
So I told her about the symptoms I was having, and I told her I was going to the ER and that I was going to go get tested, right? And that was on, of course, that Monday. But once I got those results back on that Tuesday, I had to tell her, you could just hear the disappointment in her voice, and the fear in her voice, right? Because she knows that I have underlying conditions. And so she said, well, what are you going to do from here? And I was like, well, I'm sanitizing the house now. I'm gonna pack a bag. Fortunately, I'm blessed to have a brother that lives in the DFW area who lives in one of those, those three-story brownstones. So I was able to tell him, hey, I got this. I need to come. Is it okay if I stay with you? He's like, yeah, you can live on my bottom floor until you get over it. So I was like, cool. So I went over there, stayed over there. Over there, I was confined to a bedroom and a bathroom. It was like a, upgraded jail sentence kind of. But going through that whole process, like at first I was averaging, for that first week and a half, I was averaging 14 hours of sleep a day. So, I mean, it was a little rough, but I mean, that's what happened leading up to that. Did you want me to tell you what it was like going through it? Or you want Kenny? You want to go? Kenny, go ahead.
Yeah, get Kenny.
Yeah, so I remember I was with family one weekend. It was the last weekend of June, and man, that Sunday is when I was with family, and then on Tuesday is when my symptoms came. I woke up. Something was different. Like you know how you wake up and you feel like your body's about to do something. So I was like, all right, well, let me get in the shower, man. Maybe I'm just tired, whatever the case may be. And to be honest with you, I was in denial anyway, because I'm like, I'm cautious. Like I wear a mask. I got hand sanitizer everywhere I go. You know what I'm saying? So like I'm thinking I'm good. I'm like, ain't no way I could get it. But I'm gonna tell you right now, them symptoms, like when I first started having symptoms Tuesday night, I was already, man, feeling horrible. So I had to call my moms. I had to call the entire family. Everybody got tested or whatever. Fortunately, my house was big enough to where I had a room, so I was able to, same thing, quarantine for 3 weeks. But I had a temperature. I have underlying issues, asthma as well. So my breathing was messed up. I couldn't sleep, so that was different. I couldn't get comfortable. My chills hurt; they felt like needles, and I couldn't sleep. I was just uncomfortable, just turning around, turning in the bed, rolling over was uncomfortable. So I didn't get a lot of sleep for the first 5 days. But for me, man, I didn't do like you. I didn't worry about where I got it from. I just told everybody I was in contact with to go get tested, because you just never know. You easily could have got it at the store. Somebody didn't wipe something down. So like I wasn't even gonna play that game in my mind. I just made sure everybody was good, especially them kids. My kids got asthma too, and they can't, I wanted to make sure they was good. My mom was back and forth to the hospital with my pops, so I need to make sure, she was good as well. So everybody, like my cousins and all them got tested. And everybody was negative, except me. So I just focused on healing myself, and while everybody else was good,
That's good. That's good. And I know when I got the calls from both of y'all, it was like kind of tough me a little bit. And but I did, like I said, man, I prayed with y'all. I prayed for y'all because y'all in my inner circle. So I was like, these guys can't fall dead. Like you say, you had those underlying issues, and so that always concerned me. And I think when it hit y'all, I knew both of y'all had asthma, and I call Kenny P every day, and Kenny P sound like a whole different person. I mean, I was like, man, good. And Matt, Matt was, I was one of those people Matt texted, he couldn't call. So he texted me, and I was like, okay, I'm a rock with it. But being all in all, as you went through that, like talk about some of the things that y'all, because a lot of misnomers are that it's unknown how you get it. Remember, first it was not airborne, then it's airborne, air droplets, no droplets, touching this hard surface. Now it's in the air, wind. So talk about some of those things you did prior to prepare, like if you to not get corona or not to get COVID. What were you doing in the interim? Like talk about some of those key components, what you did to prevent yourself from getting it, that people are doing that they still can get it. You know what I'm saying? So talk about it.
So again, like Kenny P said, sanitizing, right? Sanitizing in the home, sanitizing all the doorknobs, stair banisters, counter surfaces, any surfaces, sanitizing anything foreign coming into the home, sanitizing, spraying it down, right? But then when you're going out, you try your best to sanitize when you're touching your car door and everything, and wearing a mask. I was personally double masking, which I was wearing the disposable mask with the metal grip on it, placing that on my nose, wearing that one first, and then putting my cloth mask over it. I got to rep my team, go Steelers. So I was double. Okay, I see. So I was doing that, and just making sure that my kids, that they're staying sanitized. You always tell them, use hand sanitizer. Keep your fingers out your eyes. Stop touching your mouth. Get that out your mouth. Different stuff like that. I mean, but I feel like we can sanitize all that we can.
Yeah.
But it's eventually gonna catch up to us.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you that I'm probably one of the cleanest people I know. I keep this house as clean as possible. But it's gonna happen. So that's what I was doing before, as far as like being cautious about sanitizing. So I was just sanitizing as much as possible. That's how I was preparing for it, or preparing not to have it, basically.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I didn't go many places. I really didn't, especially to stores and stuff like that, man. Because I'm a germ freak. So in my car, in the house, wherever, I always have hand sanitizer and a little thing of scope for my mouthwash. You know what I'm saying? So like I'm a heavy germ freak. I stayed with all that. I put it on every time, like literally go somewhere really quick, put it on, take it off. I didn't do the gloves though, because it's too much like cross contamination, stuff like that. So I didn't do that. But I always had a mask everywhere I went. I was really cautious, man. But all it takes is somebody being lackadaisical and cleaning up, or not wiping it down. And I could have easily touched an apple or a sack, anything. Maybe somebody touched my car door who had it. You know what I'm saying? You just never know. And that's why I didn't play those mental games. So honestly, man, I don't really know if you can really prevent it other than just staying your ass at home. And I ain't saying people do that, be cautious. I mean, to be scared, but like it ain't gonna stop you.
So I'm probably not the right one to say this, but you hear different things out there about how long it can stay on surfaces, right? Yeah. On different surfaces, on clothing, it can stay on for 6 hours. On a metal hard surface, it can stay on for up to 24 hours. If somebody who has it coughs or breathes in the air, the droplets can stay in the air for a certain amount of time, but they don't go up, they only go downward. So it's different stuff out there that you see, that people talk about, that you see in the news, with different determinations on how long it stays on the surface or how long it's in the air. But like you said, the only environment that you can control around you is the one that you have at home, like you said, Kenny. And as long as you're keeping that one safe and clean and sanitized, hopefully it doesn't happen, and control what you allow to come into that environment.
Awesome. So they talk about the phases of the recovery and actually having COVID. I heard it's a beginning phase, the most critical point, and then the decline. Talk about those three phases for those people who are out here spreading those misnomers, and what those phases look like.
Okay, so again, like Kenny said, it affects people differently. So those phases can be very different and vary from each individual person. So, in speaking with my experience, the symptoms hit me within like a ton of bricks within 24 hours. I was feeling fatigued. Like that first day, I couldn't get out of bed, even if I wanted to. I was just totally done. And like I said, I had that congestion, body aches, slight fever, headaches, loss of smell came that next day. So that's what happened in the beginning phase, and then after that, I started pumping my body full of the vitamins, right? The elderberry, the zinc, the vitamin D, the vitamin C, turmeric, having even another multivitamin, and then putting that in my body to help my body and my immune system build it up, and drinking plenty of water, right? To equal give me that equal pH balance so that I can fight this, right? And so that's when I experienced a lot of the sleep, right? So that was like the beginning phase of it. But then that middle phase is like I said earlier, when I felt like a fish out of water, where I was trying to breathe and just couldn't breathe good. And it was at one point I thought, man, Elizabeth, I'm coming, right? Because I thought that was gonna be the case. And so, and that first day it got really hard. That was probably like at the almost 2 week mark that happened. And then that next 2 days following that, continued to struggle to breathe, was very uncomfortable at night, like you said, Kenny. But then 3 days after that came the coughing spells, and I was coughing, 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 coughing. It was a dry cough. The congestion was there, not much was coming up, but then because of the irritation, I was coughing up blood. So at that point, that caused a major concern for me.
Yeah.
So I started calling, doctors, doing telehealth appointments for 2 different doctors, seeing what's going on. And they told me the same thing. It could be irritation, it could be your nasal passages, blah, blah, blah. But if it continues to progress, then we need you to go to the emergency room. Obviously, after that 3 days, it stopped. And then after that came the decline. At the around the 3 week mark, 3 weeks and 1 day, I got my sense of smell back. I started getting my energy back. And throughout that whole process, I had to force myself to eat, but I started to get my appetite back as well.
Yeah.
And I was able to come home. But through that whole time, after 2 weeks, I kept testing negative. I mean, positive. I took 9 tests in all before I got my negative test.
Yeah. Well, same thing, I guess. I mean, for me, it hit me quickly, and for like the first 5 days, man, I couldn't do nothing, man. I was stuck. I couldn't move. I didn't really lose my sense of taste, but it felt weird. I wouldn't say I didn't lose it, and it just wasn't normal. And I knew I needed to drink. I just couldn't know. You know what I'm saying? So, man, I wasn't putting nothing in my system like I should have, because I just was too weak. I was too weak to even just drink some water, and I had a fever for over 3 weeks. It started off like 103.
I have a question. The question is, why did you go to the hospital when you couldn't breathe? What was the reason? What was the whole?
They wouldn't go. They couldn't treat us. If you have it and you test positive, you just got to let it pass through.
They gave me an inhaler, and so they instructed me to use that inhaler.
Yeah.
They said that there was nothing else that they could do for me at that point. They told me not to come.
I couldn't get tested when I needed to. I had to wait a couple days to get tested. I went to like a little minor emergency ER, not a minor emergency, but it was like a ER type. And I went there. They was like, they only do it up until like 4:00. You can go here, but it was too far for me to go. I was too winded just going there, so I had to get it the next day somewhere else. It was difficult for me to even get tested for I think the first 24 to 36 hours. I like I said, I had a fever for the longest. I couldn't break my fever. Even I felt like I was getting better, but I still couldn't break my fever. And you can't come out of quarantine until 3 days and no fever. Mm-hmm. And it took me forever to break my fever, even when I was feeling decent.
So I had a fever in the beginning for like the first day or two, but then after that I didn't. So what was that like having that fever? Like, what did you do to break that fever? Like, did you have to do something on a daily basis, or?
I took Tylenol, man, but I didn't want to take it. I felt like I was ignorant because you don't know. So I was like, let me just let it pass through my system naturally. But like it wouldn't go away. So sometimes I would just take a Tylenol to kind of reduce it a little bit, but it never, for the last week, it was always 99, 100, So man, that was a struggle too, because I felt good, wanted to come out, get some fresh air, but you're still contagious. So that was a difficult part for me. Breathing was difficult for me as well. Like I said, turning over, uncomfortable. I didn't get a lot of sleep my first 5 to 7 days at all. Like I couldn't sleep.
So you guys recovered, and you were on the up and up, coming up. And so talk about that. When you went back to the hospital, did you go to the hospital when you recovered?
I didn't. I went back to the testing site where I was getting tested at to get my negative result, and then I did a telehealth appointment with a doctor just to talk about my symptoms, how I had them, and what I'm still dealing with, and if any further medications were needed, or do I need to refill my inhaler prescription or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I did.
Same. Pretty much the exact same thing. I mean, teledoc got tested to the testing center, came back negative, and then the doctor called teledoc, and we talked about just kind of going forward, what you should do and what you should look forward to, and precautionary things.
I will say this, I came home on Sunday. On Tuesday, the state of Texas called me to ask me about if I was still experiencing symptoms, how did I quarantine, and how I feel now, which that was unexpected.
State of Texas, that means you're important.
Yeah, because I didn't get a call. So
you may still get a call. No, you may still get a call, bro.
I'm sure it's your level. We know.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: where you test that, they report that. They have to report
listen. It. I get that. I'm where I am. I'm where the belly of an ant. That's where I am compared to you.
Oh my God!
You know what I'm saying? So
shut it down.
I'm already on the register, and I'm still on the fries. Like straight up, probably don't even fooling with me. I'm still mopping the floors or whatever. But what I want to say is that there is something going on right now that they're asking people who have recovered fully from COVID to go donate plasma. What's y'all take on that? Because what I've been hearing from different people in the medical field is that even though there is not a recovery or what you say, like you can get prescribed medicine. I can't even talk right now, but they saying that people who are coming out and donating plasma, they're injecting the plasma of those survivors into people who are currently at some of the worst stages, and it's bringing them out, maybe a little slowly, but it's turning them around for the better. So what's y'all take on going to donate your plasma?
I mean, so not to sound uneducated about this, but I am. Is that supposed to be injecting them with the antibodies or something, or?
Plasma comes from your blood. So when you go give blood, they'll pull the plasma from that. And then what that is, the antibodies, that when they inject it into those who are ill, it helps them fight off the virus faster. The recovery rate is better. But what they're having a hard time, they're having a hard time finding people. As you can see, the billboards, etc. They have people asking promote, like, Veronica said, it's believed to help provide antibodies. So it's like it's still an experimental stage, but they're showing some type of stages of recovery. And being that you guys are survivors, I just want to see if that was something that you guys are interested in, or did you even know about it? No?
I didn't know about it.
I didn't really know about it. I'm ignorant to that, so I don't want to speak on what I don't know. But what I will say though, if more research and facts come about that it does help, I'm more than willing to help the next person.
Okay. And that's something to note, because there's so many misnomers out there about COVID, and like people think you have all the answers. I know people who have I know people who have had it and they feel like they're Superman. So they're still out there in those streets moving. And I heard it's 6 different strands. I heard you can catch it again. I heard some people say once you get it, 6 to 9 months, 24 months. It's so many misnomers. And I just feel like I wish we as the American people were not so privileged to where we can really sit our asses down and just kind of listen to medicine. Those people went to school for a reason. Like Veronica just said, she said they're also using the plasma to work on vaccines. So you guys probably want to go to a hospital. I don't know which one. Veronica, do you know where they can go? I know this is live. You can go and where someone who has survived COVID can go and donate their plasma to, Veronica? She said the plasma is definitely needed during this heightened time of research because they're trying to quickly find a.
Well, it's still, but see, I think the thing for me, like it's a lot of unknown though. You know, even with the doctors, you hear doctors saying 2 different things, so it's a lot of confusion going around.
And I think speculation because we haven't had enough time.
Yeah, it's not enough time. And I don't think it's the doctors, even though you hear 2 different things from 2 different doctors, I think because it's so new and it has taken over the world, not just a country or a small part of the country, it's taken over the world, that they are experiencing different things. Like you see some of the what they say, some of the signs that you think you may have COVID, those have been ever changing. First it was smell, then smell and taste, diarrhea. So I don't think that the unknowns that the doctors are over injecting one another. It's just so many unknowns that they're letting you know that, hey, it's a gray area here. So just kind of bear with us and sit down. But I think people are expecting because I have a white coat on or the person's in the hospital and they say one thing and somebody might say these doctors don't know what they're talking about. That's not the case. Yeah. It's really the case that they're growing and they're trying to make this thing, they're trying to push this thing out as proper as possible without killing anybody else, you know?
To your point, people are just hanging on to every word that comes out. I mean, people have to understand that medicine is a science, and science is only proven through experimentation. So it takes time to conduct experiment after experiment after experiment to understand what's going to be the best outcome. Because then that outcome can only be good for a certain group of people and not all people, right? So it just takes time. That's why they're saying that we might not even have a vaccine for another 1.5 years.
Veronica, can you drop the link in the comments for people who have survived? It says UTSW currently has an active research team dedicated strictly to COVID-19 studies. So there might be an opportunity for not just you two, but anybody else who's watching this who have may survive COVID, did not know that plasma was required.
Is that the Health and Science Center, UT Southwestern? Is that what she said?
UT Southwestern. I don't know if it's Health and Science. You know, I'm not the smartest when it comes to GPS. So I think so. Is it the UTSW Health and Science Center, Veronica? She said yes. Yes. Okay. So yeah, and if she don't get to send that link in before we end it, I'll get it from her and then we'll upload it into our website area so people can see and go to that. It's very important. Like I said, there are rumors and stuff, but I think what's not a rumor is you need to sit down. I don't think that's a rumor. I don't think the rumor is you don't need to wear a mask if you do that. If you just have to go out, wear a mask. Hey, it might not even say, but you're saving somebody. You're making an attempt. And I think we were riding the other day. I was going to ride my bike and I was riding with somebody and they were saying those people who are fighting masks were saying something like they were trying to compare it against not wearing a seatbelt. It took America 60 years to finally start wearing seatbelts, but we don't have 60 years to cure COVID because it's affecting people differently. And like I say, if you see the images, I don't think these hospitals I don't think they're like studios where they're setting up these people in these ICUs or in these incubation periods. I think this is real life, but we want to believe what we want to believe because we're so, what the survival tip said, we're so focused on short-term desires that we don't care about the long-term because we got to get it in right now. You know what I mean? And I think that's very important. But to take us out, I just want to give the floor to you guys. If there's anything you may have heard or prior to catching COVID that you can educate the people to kind of let them know, like, hey, don't believe this, or this is real. This is your moment. There's no right or wrong answer because I don't know the right or wrong answer because I didn't have COVID. So if there's something that you want to tell people, hey, don't believe that, that's not true, or really believe that this is true, this is your time.
I would just say, don't believe that because you don't have an underlying condition that this will not affect you in a major way, because it will. Because like we've been saying throughout this entire podcast, is that it affects people differently. Also, don't believe that because you're young, that you have a healthy enough immune system that you can get through this and fight it off, because there's babies out here dying. There's people that are teens that are out here dying. There's people same age as me out here dying off of this who don't have any underlying pre-existing conditions. So just don't believe that and take every precaution, not, again, like I said, to not just protect yourself, but others as well.
Yeah, I think that's the theme, is protect others as well as yourself. I think the thing is, I don't know everything about COVID. I know what I experienced, and I'm not going to act like I know everything, but I'm going to give you my experience. And I think everybody has a different experience, and I think people try to use their experience and make it for everybody else's experience. Just because you're asymptomatic doesn't mean that the virus is not real. You know, just be careful, be cautious. There's elderly, there are kids, and you doing this more than just for yourself. Like, you have to look for your next fellow man or woman to make sure that you're not passing that thing on to them because you're lackadaisical and, whether in a mask or not using hand sanitizer, stuff like that. So don't be in fear. Ain't nobody saying live in fear, but be cautious. And I think that's the biggest thing.
I like
sit
that.
your butt down.
Right.
See,
And
Matt had to have the last word. You see, look at it, being slick and shit.
No,
Always got to
gonna
have the last word.
That's gonna be Corey.
Out of me and you, though.
She said, we recently lost a 23-year-old. COVID does not discriminate. That is very important. But I want to say, she said they recently lost a 23-year-old in the process, I guess, due to COVID. So COVID does not discriminate. People are trying to say kids don't get it. You don't get it if you're healthy. There's so many of misnomers. But the point of the matter is sit your butt down.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this. This is how I'm going to end the show. I know a lot of people are anti-Trump. Include myself, I'm very anti-Trump, and I'm just anti-Trump because of his stupidity and his ignorance. But this is what I want to say. In his last interview with Axios or Izios, however you want to say it, because, hey, AXIOS, the man said it is what it is when it came to people dying in America. Your president said it is what it is. So when you take your ass outside and you decide to have parties and do these things and feel like because I'm with a small group of people that I'm safe, you're basically saying what Trump is saying. It is what it is. So you cannot get out here and complain about Trump and say he's not for the people when he's saying the words and you're doing what it takes to die. You're just basically saying it is what it is. So that's how I'm going to leave our panel tonight. Thank you guys for listening to us. Thank you guys for watching us at home. I really appreciate this. Like I said, this moment is this is important. Like I said, this is a platform. I pay for this out of my pocket. I do want to take my time to just thank people for tuning in. I don't really know how it works. At one point, we get a lot of people to watch it, get a lot of comments and a lot of emails and texts afterwards. And if there's something that you feel that you want to hear that we're missing on, tell me, because like I said, no one will censor this because this is mine. This is my dollar and this is my time and my money. And if you don't like what I'm saying, hey, unfollow, unfriend, or like some people, don't watch it at all. I appreciate y'all. Last words, Matt. Last words, KP. Signing off.